Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Let's seek the truth and travel the long road to justice together. What you know, Alibiers? Hope you're having a really good Friday, almost the weekend. Those of you who's working, just a few more hours and you're home free. All right, music fact of the day. Dolly Parton's I Will Always Love You is not really a love ballad. She wrote that song as a way to tell her longtime singing partner, Porter Wagoner, that she was going solo. She said, "It's saying just because I'm going, it doesn't mean I won't love you. I appreciate you and I hope you do great. And I appreciate everything you've done, but I'm out of here. You go, Dolly." Love me some Dolly Parton. All right, we're going to jump right in. So, Lori Vallow, her attorney says she will not use a mental health defense during her upcoming trial in April, although her lawyers contend she is mentally ill. In a filing on Tuesday, defense attorneys Archibald and Thomas say her mental health has been evaluated and litigated since her arrest in 2020. The filing says she spent 10 months at a mental health facility in Idaho and received mental health care from the experts employed by the state of Idaho. Although still suffering from a mental illness, the defendant is taking an active role in her defense. She has previously reviewed all of the discovery provided to her by the state and her attorneys. She's consulted with the 3 mental health experts. She does not want to proceed with a mental health defense to negate an element of a crime in this case. She has not authorized her attorneys to proceed with a mental health defense in the guilt phase portion of the trial. Her attorneys are respecting her rights granted to her by the Constitution of the United States. So, okay, that makes it a little easier, right? Okay, so moving on, there was another filing by her defense. It was a motion to declare the defendant not death eligible. We've had this filing before. I think Chad's filed it. But let's look into it. The filing says she's not eligible for death under the 8th and 14th Amendment. So in 1972, the Supreme Court declared that under the then existing laws, the imposition and carrying out of the death penalty constitutes cruel and unusual punishment in violation of the 8th and 14th Amendments that came from Furman versus Georgia. In that ruling, it says she doesn't have the culpability to be charged with death under the indictment for conspiracy to commit first-degree murder and grand theft, nor as a principal or accessory to first-degree murder. He cites a case, Edmond versus Florida, where Edmond was a getaway driver for an armed robbery gone wrong. The accomplice was shot by one of the victims, and then the accomplice in turn shot and killed both people they were robbing. The getaway driver was sentenced to death, and the ruling was that a person who neither kills nor intends to kill and has no intention of participating in or facilitating a murder cannot be put to death, and the punishment should be tailored to his personal responsibility and moral guilt. How are they going to explain all the lies that she told to multiple investigators about Charles's death, about where JJ was, about Tylee being in college? Hopefully we find out in April. The filing says death is reserved for the most egregious murders, and the court rejected a felon is generally responsible for the lethal actions of his co-felons when it comes to death. Yep, the most egregious murders would be burning, dismembering Tylee, and burying JJ and killing Tammy. Burying JJ in a backyard. I mean, come on, killing. The way they killed and disposed of those kids' bodies. If that doesn't define egregious, I don't know what does. He goes on to cite Gregg versus Georgia and says death is reserved for crimes so egregious that the only adequate response may be the penalty of death. There's nothing in this case that puts Lori at the threshold of killing anyone. The 2-pronged test of Edmond is not met where one defendant has not killed or attempted to kill, and 2, does not have the intent that the deaths of Tylee, JJ, or Tammy should be taken or contemplated that they would be taken. From a plain reading of the indictment, Lori is not death eligible. Then he cites another case called Tyson versus Arizona, where two brothers helped their father and another inmate escape prison by bringing an ice chest with guns, and guards and visitors were held at gunpoint, later locking them in a closet while they broke them in out of prison. No shots were fired there. They drove away from the prison and changed getaway cars near a hospital, but they got a flat tire because, karma. But Tyson was told to wait by the car and flag down help. This is one of the sons. The others were armed and lying in wait. A man and his wife, 2-year-old son, and 15-year-old niece pulled over with good intentions to help and were taken hostage and driven off into the desert. The Tysons transferred their belongings to these people's car, and then Tyson told his son to drive the getaway car further into the desert. Now, this family, whose name were the Lions were told to stand in front of the getaway car. The man pleaded for his life and asked if they would give them water and just leave them there in the desert. And the dad, who had been busted out of prison, told his sons to get them water. While doing that with their backs turned, they heard gunshots and saw their father and the other convict had murdered the whole family. The brothers were charged with and convicted of capital murder. Now, the Supreme Court in that case analyzed the facts in Inmond, which is the one we just talked about before, and agreed the sons didn't pull the trigger, but were knowingly engaging in criminal activities known to carry a grave risk of death, representing a highly culpable mental state, and that mental state may be taken into account in making a capital sentencing judgment. They found their actions up to the moment of the murders were the same as their father. It says Lori was not a participant in the deaths as a conspirator or otherwise and could not have the foreknowledge that JJ and Tylee or Tammy would end up dead. Hogwash. Further, there is nothing in the record to show Lori showed reckless disregard for human life. Oh boy. And the court requires for accomplice liability. It ends by saying while the state of Idaho may give defendants more right than the U.S. Constitution, they cannot give less. And the state fails to meet its burden that Lori is eligible for death under Inmond versus Florida and Tyson versus Arizona. They asked the court to issue an order saying Lori is not death eligible. Okay, good luck with that one. All right, moving on to the University of Idaho murders. I have reread that probable cause affidavit about 10 times, and it is so disturbing and as if it couldn't be any worse than we imagined. And here's the thing to remember, that probable cause affidavit is not everything they have. That was just enough to get the arrest warrant to get him into custody. They've got things up their sleeve, further evidence that will likely come out later at trial, unless he pleads guilty, which I doubt he will. I really think this guy thinks he's smarter than everybody, but we shall see. Little rumor control. The FBI denies that they asked troopers to pull over Kohberger and his dad on the drive from Washington to Pennsylvania. That was floated around by mainstream media yesterday. They deny it. Also, the court has ordered the King Road house where the murders took place to be preserved until February 1st. So that's going to remain a crime scene and it will not be released. So a reminder, there's no insanity plea in Idaho. If you follow Lori and Chad's case, you know this. He has a preliminary hearing scheduled for January 12th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So in court yesterday, Kohberger smiled at his court-appointed attorney. He did not look at any of the victims' families who were seated on the front row and also crying understandably. Family members were seen staring at Kohberger throughout the hearing. So when asked if he understood each charge, he calmly said yes. And when asked if he would like to represent himself or have a court-appointed attorney, he said he wanted a court-appointed attorney. The judge ruled Kohberger cannot contact the victims' families or the surviving roommates. Now get this, and they have to, but his attorney asked for bond, saying he has a good family that stands by him. Denied. You staying in the pokey, buddy. The jail said his strict vegan diet is being accommodated, but get this, they're not going to buy any new pots or pans for him. His aunt by marriage, who's no longer in that family, said that they had to buy new pots and pans because meat had previously been cooked in the other pots. Hey, look, vegans, I get it. It's a thing. I know plenty of vegans. I am not a vegan, but they're not going to accommodate him that far. So, a law enforcement source told TMZ that he was cleaning his car while back home in Pennsylvania, not missing an inch. He was also seen wearing surgical gloves around the home more than once. He was also seen leaving his parents' home at 4 a.m. and putting his trash in a neighbor's trash can. What did the FBI do? They recovered what was placed in the neighbor's bins, and that was sent to the Idaho State Lab. It was also revealed that Kohberger applied for an internship with the Pullman Police Department in the fall of last year. He wrote an essay saying how he wanted to help small police departments with how to better collect and analyze technological data in public safety operations. That dude wanted it inside in that police department. One of the best feelings of having Glad Skin on my podcast is feedback from a friend who's tried everything to help ease their daughter's discomfort from eczema. Using the eczema cream, it's the only thing that's helped her. If you've been living with eczema, acne, or rosacea, you can relate to the frustration of trying many products without any long-term relief. You can expect something different with Glad Skin. Glad Skin specifically works to target the imbalance in your skin's microbiome. And Glad Skin uses MicroBalance, a revolutionary protein that restores the balance of the good and bad bacteria that live on your skin so it can finally heal. Is so effective that 91% of users, both adult and children, who tried their top-selling eczema cream reported significant improvement after just 7 days. So if you've been frustrated with your treatment options, don't wait to try Glad Skin. They are offering my listeners 15% off plus free shipping on your first order at gladskin.com/whattheworld. That's gladskin.com/whattheworld for 15% off plus free shipping. gladskin.com/whattheworld. I love Thrive Market. I've been able to find brands not widely seen in stores that are much cheaper than other places online. I've been using their Foy CBD relief cream for my knee with amazing results. And this is just one example of the many products you can find to better your life, from foods to beauty to health. As a Thrive Market member, I can save money on every single order. And on average, I save 30%. On my last order, I saved $93. On top of the massive savings on each order, Thrive Market has a deals page that changes every day. It gives me cash back on many brands, and they have a price match guarantee. You can search dietary restriction using filters, and even better, they help a family in need with their 1-for-1 membership matching program. You join, they give. Join Thrive Market today and get 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift. Go to thrivemarket.com/whattheworld for 30% off your first order plus a free $60 gift. That's Thrive, THRIVE, market.com/whattheworld, thrivemarket.com/what. So Kaylee's parents talked to Ashley Banfield on News Nation Now last night. Her dad, Steve, said Kohberger looked like an everyday normal kid. He said he was overtaken being in a courtroom going through a case about two people he loved. He said it's not justice for Kohberger to have a TV, to get his vegan diet and see family and friends, and also get an education as part of his punishment. Kaylee's mom said she expected to feel this immense amount of hate, but really she felt numb and nothing, but she said she could not take her eyes off of him, and she had a sick feeling. Steve said he expected him to be more like a monster. So, when asked if they'll be at every hearing, he said he's told the prosecutor they do want to be at most hearings, but they just don't want to see or hear any of the gory details. So, there will be some days that they're in attendance and some days that they're not. As this progresses, they obviously will have somebody in the courtroom to keep them updated when they're not. And I understand that. They say they will forgive him, but ultimately they support death in this case. Now, KREM reporter Amanda Rowley checked with the Mag Geek restaurant where Maddie and Xana worked. Staff do not remember seeing Kohberger or recall serving him, which I kind of was wondering, is that where he met anybody associated with these murders? But maybe not. So the stalking, we learned he was near the house at least 12 times prior to the murders. And here's the interesting thing: Washington State University started the 2022 fall semester on August 22nd. The day before, August 21st, his phone pings near that King Road residence from 10:34 p.m. to 11:35 p.m., which is interesting. What was he doing there? Was he attending a party? Was he already aware of somebody in that house that he had targeted? Time will tell. So let's go through the timeline of the night of the murders, because that was really clarified in the probable cause affidavit. So from 9 p.m. to 1:45 a.m., we know Xana and Ethan are at the Sigma Chi party. 10 p.m. to 1:30 a.m., Kaylee and Maddie are at the corner club. Between 1:30 and 1:40 to 1:56, Kaylee and Maddie are seen at the grub truck. 1:56 a.m., Kaylee and Maddie are driven to their house by that private party. By 2 a.m., all of the victims are home. 2:42, Kohberger's phone pings on the Washington State University campus. 2 minutes later, his car is seen on the Washington State University campus traveling north. 2:47 a.m., the phone pings him leaving his residence and is cut off for cell service. So no cell service until after the murder. So we switch over to surveillance cameras. 2:53 a.m., the car is seen on the road that connects Pullman to Moscow. 3:26 a.m., his car is seen in Moscow about 1.3 miles away from the house. 3:28 a.m., that car is seen less than a mile from the house. I believe it was around 9 blocks. 3:29 a.m. to 4:20 a.m., the car is seen multiple times on Kings Road. The car makes 3 passes by the house and leaves. But at 4 a.m., Xana gets a delivery from DoorDash. Also at 4 a.m., a roommate is woken up by what sounds like Kaylee playing with her dog Murphy upstairs. 4:04 a.m., the car is seen stopping and turning around at 500 Queen Road, which is just not far from the house. So 4:12 a.m., this was news. Xana is on TikTok on her cell phone. 4:17 a.m., 5 minutes later, less than 50 feet from Xana's bedroom, picks up a dog barking, voices, or a whimper and a loud thud. 4:20 a.m., the car is seen leaving the house at a high rate of speed. 4:48 a.m., his phone is back on and is traveling on Highway 95 south of Moscow. Between 4:56 and 5:26 a.m., the phone traveling south on Highway 95 to Genesee, Idaho, then west turns towards Uniontown, Idaho, and then north back to Pullman. I haven't done this on the maps. It seems like a roundabout way to get to where you're going. I wonder if maybe this is where he disposed of the murder weapon, clothes, anything that held evidence on it. 5:25 a.m., the car is seen on 5 different cameras on the Washington State University campus. And then at 5:30, it pings in Pullman. His phone pings. Now get this. That same morning, 9 a.m., his phone was pinged leaving his residence. And between 9:12 and 9:21 a.m., the phone pings where? Near the King Road house where he allegedly killed 4. 9:32 a.m., he's back near his residence. You know, a lot of killers return to the scene of the crime for whatever reason. I wonder if he was just driving by to see if law enforcement was there yet. I mean, why else would he be there? He's doing something. He's looking for something. You know, and there were a lot of things that surprised me in that probable cause affidavit. Probably the biggest is that the roommate saw Kohberger. I really don't think he saw her. It's kind of the way I read it. And Kaylee's dad, Steve, last night kind of gave a little bit of a hint that possibly there was something medical, a medical issue there with her. I don't know, shock, whatever. A lot of people have questioned, why do you go to sleep after you've seen a masked man and heard what you've heard? I have no clue. I'm not going to judge, but clearly this girl didn't have anything to do with this. So maybe those answers will come out later. I mean, the DNA is going to be huge in this case. You have got his DNA right beside one of the bodies, and they confirmed that by the trash. I thought that might be the case. You have the van's shoe print. I was also surprised that Xana had ordered the DoorDash and was on TikTok up till 4:12 a.m. because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, please, but I believe Xana had defensive wounds. So this kind of contradicts the coroner's initial statements to the media that they were all four sleeping when the murders happened. There's no way Xana was asleep at 4:12 and the murders are going on. So oh, man, it's just horrible. Just horrible. Just a really quick update on Orrin and Orson West. If you've been with the podcast a while, we've covered this. December 21st marked 2 years since the boys disappeared. And their adoptive parents, Trezell and Jacqueline West, have been charged with 6 felony counts, including 2 for second-degree murder. Their next hearing is January 20th for a readiness hearing. The jury trial is set for January 30th. Now, I'm going to do my best to kind of recap that trial. I'm not going to be able to do what I do with Wagner and what I will be doing with Alec Murdaugh because those two trials merge together and they're at the same time. I'll be down, as you know, covering Alec Murdaugh for Law and Crime Network, also for Pretty Lies and Alibis. Every night, you'll get a summary of all the testimony in an hour. You won't miss a beat. So, what's new with Murdaugh? Guess what? His accomplice, Curtis Eddie Smith, he's been subpoenaed to testify at the upcoming trial by the state attorney general's office. I cannot wait to get there, y'all. I'm nervous as all get out, but it's going to be all right. Yeah. So, lastly, but not least, Madalina Cojocari. She is the missing 11-year-old who was not reported missing until December 15th by her mother to a school resource officer. She had not been seen since November 23rd. The Cornelius police are asking for eyewitnesses in Madison County on a Toyota Prius that may be connected to the case. They're asking for anyone who saw the car or a white female between November 22nd to December 15th to call the tip line 704-892-7773 or submit tips online at tips.fbi.gov. Also, a judge ruled that search warrants in the case will be made public after investigative reporter Nick Oshner went before a judge asking to have them unsealed and put out there saying that they should be, and that will happen. So that'll be interesting. We'll go through those when they're released. And so that's kind of it for today. I want to do a live soon for everybody. I do a live weekly with my Patreon members where we just kind of chit chat back and forth. But I would like to do a live soon about the probable cause affidavit and just all of us chew the fat and talk about it. In the meantime, I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. And I'm going to be doing some home projects. Grammy will be here Tuesday. She's getting discharged. She's getting booted from the rehab facility Tuesday. So she's going to be here getting everything ready for her, doing some home improvements that are just way overdue. Anyways, have a good weekend, y'all. If anything crazy happens, I'll hop on, subscribe, hit the bell, get notifications, like the video. It pumps it out to people who might be interested. Also, if you have not listened to yesterday's episode of Gavin Knupp, please do. This case has really just become very personal to me, and justice for this family and this poor boy. Listen, share it. Maybe we can make a difference and get the word out. So anyways, we'll see you soon. Have a good weekend. Be good. Don't get in trouble because I ain't got the bail money for you. See you soon.